Hey everyone, it's Trigger Bar Philosopher. Today we're going to be doing a tabletop review of the new Beretta 80X. It's the Cheetah. All right, so let's get into this review. The new Beretta 80X is chambered in 380 ACP or 9mm Kurtz or 9mm short. It comes with two 13-round capacity magazines, and it is a double action, single action, direct blowback type action. There is a hammer. It comes with a safety decocker. So when it's back in single action, you push the safety up and it will decock. In between, you can think it's in safe, but it's really not. So you really want to push it all the way up into safe, and then you can't move the hammer, and then it will decock once it goes up. So again, beware of that little, especially when it's cocked, there's a false safety there. You can tell that it's not totally on safe, but so make sure it's not on that. This thing weighs in at about 25 ounces unloaded. We can do a quick confirmation of that with our little scale here. So 1 pound, 5.2 ounces with nothing loaded, and with just the magazine in it, it is 1 pound, 7.6 ounces. And then when loaded, it is 1 pound, 10.8 ounces. All right, it comes with let's make sure we're unloaded, and we'll move that mag over there. Make sure there's nothing in here. You can see this is like the regular, it's really kind of a baby a baby 92. I love that, right? The 92 is very famous for its many years of service in the U.S. military and many other militaries and police things around the world. I have, for comparison, my 96A1. So this, again, is about the size. It's actually a little bit bigger than the 92. But this is my 96A1. Love this guy. This has a Landon Tactical trigger job in a bag, skeletonized hammer, lock grips. Actually, these may be VZ. I can't remember if they're VZ or lock, but they're the ultra thin ones. It also has a adjustable sight with a fiber optic front sight that I've put on it. It has the Teflon sort of type coated trigger bar, which is where I get my name Trigger Bar. I think I've mentioned that in other videos because this was the first gun modification that I made myself. And so it kicked me off onto this kind of gun nut frenzy that I've been on for the last few years. So, just kind of looking at a couple of the different offerings, why you might be attracted to this. It is in the 380 versus this is 40 Smith & Wesson. Actually, I also have a 357 SIG barrel for this, which is pretty cool. I'll have to show that in another video. Right off the bat, you can see there just are some design differences. The takedown lever on this one is right here on this side, and on the Cheetah, it's on the opposite side. It also looks like there's this detent pin is not really visible versus it is on the 96. So a little bit of a refresh in some of the design. This does come with a normal Picatinny rail, 3.9-inch barrel. Really in all respects, really a micro aspect to it. I have one other Beretta that I just want to compare it to in size-wise. This is the new Beretta A1. Compact carry gun, so the Beretta A1 carry. So you can see just the size differences between the two. The Cheetah has a little bit longer barrel and is a little bit thicker when you make a size comparison between them. The other aspect of this gun, maybe let's just do a size comparison between it and the 96. It is a bit thicker than the 96, the 96 is thicker than the Cheetah, which is about what you'd expect. Let's just do a couple of things to compare. Well, one other gun to compare it with is my Kimber Micro 380. So this is another 380. I just don't want people to get confused that this 3.9-inch barrel, which is, it's a 380, so it's a much smaller gun, but it's not a micro. And just tell the size differences between these two guns. So that just gives you a comparison between them. All right, so let's first off, let's take a look at the trigger pulls. I always like to do that. So we have our trigger gauge. And first off, we're just going to touch the single action. Make sure it's on there. And we'll try to get this in. There we go. Saying it's about 5 pounds. I don't think that's true. It's a little bit lighter than that. So probably has to do with how I'm doing this in a weird way. And it's about 5 pounds consistently. Doesn't feel like that. It feels pretty short and crisp. As you can see, there is a little bit of take up before it hits that wall. That takes about about a half pound of pressure on it, or about a pound of pressure, and then pulling through it. That time we were at 4.5 pounds. That's what I've gotten. I think it's about a 4.5 pound, 4 pound trigger. I don't think it's 3.5, and that's on single action, but it does feel really nice and crisp. Again, you have a little bit of take up. Let's take up to there. There's your wall. See how short it is. And boom. There is a little adjustment. I'm not sure if you can see that in there. There is a little bit of an a detent that sticks out, and I think that is adjustable, so you can measure the overplay. So again, you have a little bit longer double action trigger and a short, crisp, well-defined break for the single action, and very short. Let's look at the reset. A little bit of reset. There it is. Right, so the longer double action pull, kind of long pull hard, and then eventually the break, which is very consistent with many double action. Why you might like that is because you have that long pull. If you're pocket carrying this or carrying it in some other way, you can carry this safe or unsafe and on fire with a round in the chamber, and you have that really long, heavy double action pull. It's not going to be pulled on accident, and so lots of people like that for safety. I am one of them. All right, let's just do this long double action pull, see if I can get my dexterity up working. And it's showing about 7.5 pounds, and that's about what I've consistently gotten, is about 7.5 pounds. So 7.5 pounds double action, 4.5 pounds, probably 4.5 pounds single action. Feels pretty crisp in single action, and when you're shooting it, it feels you know, pretty good. You really can't. It feels like a much lighter trigger than it is. This is the Beretta APX A1, and it is a striker fired gun. You take a look at that. It's got a kind of mushy trigger. I've kind of commented in a previous video how much I didn't like it. I will say one thing, this kind of came with an 8-pound trigger. It's lightened up to about 6.5 pounds, which is much better. It actually shoots better than it feels in sort of a tabletop review. So I may have given it some shade. I got to get another range video out on shooting it. I actually like carrying this gun. It's pretty thin, pretty small. Trigger is long and hard, and you know, maybe that's what is good for concealed carry, but it's kind of, I don't like it because it's a little bit mushy. It's almost like a long double action. This is a striker fired gun versus these others are hammer fired. Just taking a quick look at my for comparison, my 96 with the Langdon tactical trigger job. I sure hope they come out with a trigger job on a bag over at Langdon for that Cheetah. That would be really awesome. Someone could do that. All right, let's just take a quick look at this. And it has about a 3.5 pound trigger pull on single action. Again, that's been lightened up considerably from what it came with. I think it was about a 5 or 6 pound double action pull when I first got it. Yeah, about 3.5 pounds. It actually feels even lighter than that. Take a look at this little reset though. You can really get firing on this gun. So there's the little shot. So little tiny movement. Now when it's there, watch how short this is. Right, micro, and you're done. Right, it's got to be like 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters, and you're back on it. So you can just be rapid, basically moving little crisp pulls like that. It's even better than the CZ P01 that I got done at CZ Custom Works, and I was able to do that on my own. I'm sure the Langdon ones are even better, where they do some polishing and other things like that. The double action on this, is again about around, it's a nice smooth pull, but it's around 8 pounds, something like that. So one other aspect of this gun, let's go over the checkering. I do like some guns I see that they only checker it like vertically, and that seems weird to me of why you'd only put vertical checkering, because you know, that's not the friction point is going side to side, it's the up and down. And so getting that cross checkering where you need it, where you can control recoil, I think is really good. What's fun about this gun is, at least for personal me, and I have large size hands. I hear a lot of YouTubers that have just like really big size hands, but I'm more on the large sides. This fits me just perfectly. I saw Mr. Outlaw, Mr. Outlaw, whatever his name is, the Honest Outlaw, his review, and he said he got about some slide bite, but he has Sasquatch size hands. And so, you know, when you're up here on it so big, you're going to get that, but I didn't have anything even close to that. I fit under this beaver tail. My hand fits this gun just perfectly. Look, I can just barely get the third of my pinky on that. I can see if you had big hands, you might be there. That is a problem that Beretta often has. See, I don't get much more on that 96. It's very shallow grip for the Beretta 92 series type guns, but this really is enough to get on it. Also with this 3.9-inch barrel, you'll see in some of my next testing, it gets some pretty significant performance improvements over what you might get with this micro, making the 380 round not quite as anemic as it potentially could be. All right, so this is basically the first part. Let me know in the comments if there's other aspects of the review of this gun that you'd like to hear. I have reached out to Lock Grips, see if their existing Cheetah grips will fit this gun. I don't know that yet. I'm excited to maybe put on some new grips with this. Excited to see if Langdon will eventually come out with a trigger job for this. If they don't, I'm happy with this trigger and it's awesome. This is just kind of a fun little plinker. It does have an optics plate, and that sight is removable that way. It does look like this front sight is driftable. But this optics plate, I have not been able to find any optics plates. Looking at the manual, it does have one for the Holosun, for the RMS, and for another pattern has one for the Holosun 407K. And I don't know. I think I may run it without an optic. I don't know. I may put an optic on just to see, because I shoot a lot better with an optic. And so if this is more of a range type gun, I'll probably run it with an optic. If I do end up carrying it more, I'll probably not carry it with an optic just because I can keep it nice and small. So let me know what you think. Is 380 too anemic for you? Is that below the size? Do you have Sasquatch size hands? So you probably won't be looking at one of these. Are you in love with the 92 series? Is this something that you like? I know some former military people, which I am not, don't like it because they had guns that were just kind of crept in crummy shape. But man, you get a gun like this from Langdon Tactical, or that has its trigger job done, they just shoot lights out and super fun and awesome. Again, this is kind of a cool one because it's chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson, and I have a drop-in barrel. I've heard they no longer make them from EFK Fire Dragon. It was a 357 SIG barrel, so I'll get that out and do some testing with that at some point for the channel. But let me know what you think about the Cheetah. Please put your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts? Something you'd run, something you're looking at. You'd never touch 380. What's the lowest caliber that you would ever shoot with or use for self-defense? Please put that in the comments. And then also please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, everyone.